The Me Too movement, school shootings, suicides. What do all these have in common? Bullying. They could all be started from, or they could all be the result of bullying. Bullying is not always an emergency, though. It doesn't always lead to an emergency. Consider imposter syndrome. So bullying is everywhere. It really is. And if we look at the social learning theory, then, and that's the theory that says that we learn by observing others, we could simply see the bully-victim cycle, where the people who are bullied then become bullies. Bullying affects all of us throughout our lifetime. Let me say that again. Bullying affects all of us. I have to say this to Matt, especially. Bullying, Matt, affects all of us throughout our lifetime. I have a little experience and background with bullying. As a child, I said to my mom, "Mom, I'm going to be the first man to run on the moon." "Boy, how you going to run on the moon? There ain't no gravity." "That's bonkers." And I believed her. I believed my mom. After all, my mom was a female Samuel L. Jackson mixed with Godzilla. And she was a functional alcoholic, so I never knew what to expect. You know, I could come home, she could be a hit woman from Pulp Fiction, or she could be the loudest, scariest badass in Hawaii. It was crazy. When I left my mom's house at 15, she said to me, "Malcolm, wherever you go, I'll be with you." And she was right, because that doubting voice is always with me. It's always following me. It still lives in my head. I call that voice Mini Mama. Do you guys have your own Mini Mama? That voice that tells you you're not good enough? My mom, I know she must have loved me, but she took tough love to a whole new level. With her, it was more like, do it my way, or today will be your doomsday. She was really weird. And yet, my early childhood was very much like that movie Forrest Gump. It was, I would run, because I loved running, so I would run, and people would see me running, and they would shout, "Run, Malcolm, run!" You know, and I was very popular. I was a lovable class clown and kickball champion. Now, I never met the U.S. president, but I did often meet the school principal, mainly for interrupting class with my Forrest Gump impersonations. My mama told me life was like a box of macadamia nuts. It tastes better with beer. I grew up in Hawaii, and it was lovely until age 9. Age 9, I woke up in the hospital. And I heard the doctors tell my parents, your son has Ray's syndrome. He will never walk again. And I thought, never walk again? No, that can't be, because I've got to run on the moon. And so every day I would get up and I would go to therapy. Well, I wouldn't get up, but I would go to therapy. And people would see me and they would say, go, Malcolm, go. You can do it. Balance, Malcolm, balance. But many mama would say, stop, Malcolm, stop. You ain't no good. When I was able to stand on my own and shuffle from point A to point B, then mama told me, it's time for you to go back to school. I went back to school, and instead of the Hawaiian Forrest Gump, kids saw me as a 10-year-old version of Frankenstein's monster. No one would play with me. Kids called me weirdo and freak. My best friend slugged me in the stomach. I didn't know why. I didn't know what was happening. But now I know, of course, that it was because they were afraid, and it's also because they were jealous, because no one does Frankenstein's monster like me. But back then, I didn't know. And my stepfather saw me, and he said to me, Malcolm, don't let the bullies win. Don't give up. Every step is a victory. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to remember what you have to be grateful for. I want you to laugh every day and do what makes your heart soar. And so the next day, I went and I tried out for the baseball team. And the coach said, nah, you're too slow. You're a liability. I tried out for the track team. The coach said, no, you're too slow. You're a liability. My stepfather's words echoed in the back of my head. Each step is a victory. And I thought about everything I had to be grateful for. And I thought to myself, I don't need anyone's permission to go run. And so every day I went to that track and I ran. I just ran and ran and ran and ran. And eventually the coach came up to me and said, oh, I was wrong. You're not a liability. You are an asset. We need you. And so I ran track throughout high school and college. Yes, you can applaud. Now, I would like you to do something for me. I would like you to think about one thing that you have in your life that you're grateful for. And when you have thought of that, if you are in the audience, please go ahead and raise your hand. If you are on Zoom, not now, as soon as you've thought of that. And then if you are on Zoom, as soon as you've thought of that, put a 1 in the chat, please. All right. Now, what I'd like you to do is, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to do this. Let me go ahead and demonstrate this first. So I want you to stand up. I want you to raise your arms, go, woohoo! Shout out whatever it is you're grateful for, and then high five your neighbor, and then sit down. Okay? Everybody with me? You with me? Everybody? All right. Here we go. Everybody stand up. Woohoo! I'm grateful for being alive in this great space. High five your neighbors. And laugh too, belly laughter. I don't even have to tell you all that. All right, great. Have a seat. You have just demonstrated what the 3 steps that it takes to become bully-proof. Gratitude, exercise, and laughter. The gel method. Gratitude, exercise, and laughter. When you're bullied, when you're stressed, it is so easy to focus on the negative. What's not right in your life? What's going wrong? But then when you think about what you have to be grateful for, like what I did, like what my stepfather reminded me to do, then you start thinking about the positive things in your life. And that's a mind shift that helps put you in the right place, first of all. And then exercise. So Dr. Amy Cuddy has written a book. She's done years of research on the mind-body connection. And she's written a book that points out the mind-body connection and how we stand. The gestures that we make can affect the rest of our body and our outlook. Yesterday, we saw Rachel. She told us about stage presence, and she was talking about stage presence. And if you're watching her closely, like I was, don't get any wrong ideas, Rachel. I wasn't watching you because I'm single. I was watching you for science. But if you noticed, her body position shifted. What she did on stage shifted, right? That too helps with the body connection. And with me running, I was moving my body, and I was getting all the physiological effects that come with exercise. I was getting the endorphins. I was getting the great feelings. I wasn't getting the cookies, but I was getting the emotions that you would get from a good cookie, And that's what I was getting from the exercise. And then laughter. And what I say about laughter is I don't mean humor and comedy necessarily. I mean the act of laughter. The act of laughter is so important. We've all been experiencing that today. And so if we can do all of that with the gel method, we can become bully-proof, and we can help others become bully-proof. Now, I no longer really dream of running on the moon. Every once in a while, I do have fantasies of crossing that finish line and saying, 1 step for man, 1 gold medal for Malcolm. But now, I think if I could just help 1 person become bully-proof, that to me has taken me over the moon.